You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe, Director of Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. This is the Jewish Inspiration Podcast.
Welcome back, my dear friends, to the Jewish Inspiration Podcast. We are in the middle of a series of discussing reasons why a Jew should feel proud to be Jewish. So aside from being a chosen nation, which is a tremendous responsibility, which we will get into in one of the future Jewish Pride segments, but I had a very interesting experience a while back. I was asked by one of the local big organizations in Houston to do the invocation for an event. And they said there was also going to be a priest who was going to co-officiate the invocation for the event. And they asked if we can meet and if we can coordinate the things that we say so that everything is in order ahead of time and that we can, make sure that there isn't any overlap, we don't say the same things, et cetera, et cetera. So we met at Starbucks and we got into just a nice, friendly conversation. In the conversation, this priest who had, at the time, I think 8,000 to 9,000 members in his congregation, in his church, a very, very big, prominent place here in Houston. And he asked me, so what congregation are you a rabbi of? So I said, well, actually, I'm not a rabbi of any congregation. I'm a rabbi that does education. And I teach Torah, and members from every congregation are welcome. Anybody who is Jewish, isn't Jewish, who is affiliated one way or another way, it doesn't make a difference. Anybody who's interested in learning about Judaism is welcome. He says, wow, that's very nice. He says, and what are you teaching now? So I said, actually, right now, in all of the congregations that we're teaching in, we're doing a question and answer series where people can ask any question that's on their mind, any question about Judaism, they can ask any question they'd like. And then innocently, I asked the priest, I said, do you ever do a question and answer series in your congregation? And he pauses and says, you forget who you're talking to. I said, what do you mean? He says, in Christianity, there are no questions. And I remember being stunned. What do you mean there are no questions? We have a weekly Talmud class where in every single paragraph of Talmud, every single line of Talmud has questions and questions and questions and questions from every angle. What's your proof? How can you use that verse for that? We use that verse for something else. We have an endless demand for answers because in Judaism, the number one value that we have is truth. We want the truth. We want to know that everything that you tell us in halacha, in the practice of how we conduct our day-to-day lives, everything that you tell us in the Talmud, everything you tell us in the Mishnah, everything that's in the Torah is authentic and verified. We don't take your word for it because you're some authority and you say, trust me. We know trust, but verify. It's very important. If you want to have authentic, trustworthy information, everything needs to be sourced. In Judaism, we ask questions. It's all about asking questions. Try in Islam, try to ask questions without getting your throat slit or your head or being shot. It's impossible. It's impossible. These things are impossible. But what do we know in Judaism? In Judaism, we know that questions are not allowed. Questions are demanded. Questions are required so that you have verification of the truth. We're not sheep. We don't just take your word for it, Rabbi, because you said so. Even more so, I'm reminded of a story when I was teaching in one of these congregations. So the students came to me and said, and students, we're talking about adults here, students of our class, they said, Rabbi, you won't believe what happened. We had a question with one of our rabbis, a question and answer series, and we asked the rabbi, what is your belief on God? Like, what do you believe? And the rabbi said, well, my belief in God is evolving. That's tragic. As a rabbi, a leader, this was not an Orthodox rabbi, definitely not a rabbi that I would take seriously by any measure, but a rabbi, every Jew, needs to have a clarity of their understanding of their relationship with God. Knowledge of Hashem. Emunah doesn't mean trust. Emunah doesn't mean faith. Emunah means knowledge, having clarity of our relationship with God. What we have in Judaism is integrity. That what we say is clear, is bona fide, is verified, and it's not something which is just theory or speculation or a whim. It is verified information. And this is something that I think as Jews, we should be very, very, very proud of. We should be very proud that we are a people that have our number one goal and number one focus in Judaism is to have authenticity. That every word that we preach is validated, is sourced, and we don't just make up things. So I'm a very proud Jew, and I believe that every Jew should feel proud to be Jewish, to declare it out in the open, don't hide it. Ani Yehudi, I am a Jew, and I'm proud to be a Jew. My dear friends, have a magnificent day. Have an amazing Shabbos.
You've been listening to the Jewish Inspiration Podcast, a Torch production. Become a supporter at torchweb.org because your assistance enables more Torah learning around the globe. To find more lessons offered by Torch, please visit torchpodcasts.com.